In labor before my sister-in-law's wedding, Mill locked me in a bathroom to avoid me stealing the spotlight. I woke up in the hospital 2 weeks later. Rick, 30M, and I, 29F, had a daughter, May. We're absolutely thrilled to welcome our first child, but as new parents, life has been nothing short of hectic. We're both struggling with this new chapter, but we're giving it our all. Unfortunately, what happened on the day of May's birth has left us shaken. I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was one of the most harrowing experiences of my life. The sheer terror I felt that day hasn't been erased, not even by the joy of holding May in my arms. If it weren't for my husband's quick thinking, I truly believe I wouldn't be here today. I'm torn. Despite the trauma, a part of me feels like we should be kindred to family. It's family, after all. And May is the first grandchild. But with my emotions all over the place and the chaos of caring for a newborn, I can't trust my own judgment right now. So here I am, turning to Reddit for support. Please be patient with me. This is a lot to unpack. There are many people involved in this story. First, Rick's two younger sisters, Emma, 24F, and Anna, 28F. I've always had a good relationship with them, no hostility at all. But since we all have busy lives and careers, we're not super close. Emma lives in another city, so we try to stay connected through texts and calls when we can. Then, there's my mother-in-law, Rachel, 53F. She's another key figure in this situation. While I have a decent bond with Emma and Anna, things with Rachel are a bit more complicated. I don't get along with Rachel. We just don't see eye to eye, and honestly, I think she has issues with everyone, not just me. Rachel has this obsession with control. Her reactions range from sharp criticism and sulking to full-on tantrums, tears and all, if things don't go her way. She raised her kids alone after their father left, so her children, including Rick, usually go along with her demands to keep the peace. Rick, thankfully, lets me handle his mom however I choose because he knows she can be difficult. I've always tried to maintain my distance. Live and let live, you know. Even though Rachel can be overbearing, I've made it a point to avoid conflict. For the most part, this arrangement worked, until a few days ago, when everything fell apart. Anna, Rick's sister, was getting married on the same day May was born. Her husband, Jonah, 30M, is actually one of Rick's friends. It was a beautiful wedding. About a year ago, Jonah proposed to Anna, and she asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was honored, of course, but after Rick and I found out I was expecting, I had to ask Anna to choose someone else as her maid of honor. This was about 6 months before the wedding, when I was 3 months pregnant. Let me tell you, I was terrified to tell her. I was so afraid that this would ruin our relationship forever. But to my relief, Anna was beyond understanding. When I broke the news, she was ecstatic about my pregnancy. She even forgot about her wedding for a moment. "Obviously, I'll be taking care of you," she said when I told her I couldn't take on the responsibilities of maid of honor. She was so thoughtful, she even considered adjusting parts of the wedding for my comfort. Anna even considered moving the wedding date so I wouldn't miss it, but in the end, that didn't work out. Both Anna and Emma carried on with the wedding preparations, with Emma stepping in as maid of honor. Despite their busy schedules, they still found time to support me during my difficult pregnancy. Anna was my rock, always by my side, never complaining. Still, I couldn't shake the guilt of missing out on such an important day for her. Rachel, my mother-in-law, was the only one who seemed upset. The wedding planning had a few hiccups because of my situation, and I got the distinct feeling she resented me for stepping down as maid of honor. While Anna was completely cool about my pregnancy and absence from bridal duties, Rachel's hostility grew, subtle but constant. I brushed it off, chalking it up to wedding stress or maybe even my own pregnancy hormones. I didn't want to overthink it. The wedding day came 2 weeks ago, and by then, I was very pregnant, swollen feet, a huge belly, and absolutely exhausted. Anna genuinely wanted me there, so despite feeling like I could pass out at any moment, I decided to go. I had already asked her if my presence might cause any issues or take attention away from her. Honestly, I was worried she might secretly be upset with me, but Anna reassured me. "I just want my family there to support me," she said. "I don't care about fame or attention. Please come, I want you to be there." Her sincerity eased my fears. I trusted her because I knew how direct she was. Even though I was physically struggling, I felt obligated to be there for her on her big day. I won't lie, there were plenty of whispers and murmurs about me showing up so heavily pregnant. It was hard to ignore, but I reminded myself that Anna was genuinely happy I was there. That thought kept me going, even when the stares and murmurs got under my skin. Here's the rephrased version with punctuation and emotional tones added for realism. That was all I cared about at the time. But Rachel didn't talk to me very often. The whole time she scowled at me, I felt too uneasy to pay attention. I left her alone. I just didn't have the energy to confront her or figure out why she was acting so passive-aggressive. I wasn't going to react. She could glare all she wanted. Then came the major incident, and it really startled me, and everyone else. I started feeling nervous just before the ceremony began. After meeting Anna, I went upstairs, hoping to calm down before coming back. I had no idea Rachel had been following me. I went to the bathroom because I felt weird and sweaty. And then, my water broke. It wasn't just a trickle, it was a deluge. Panic hit me like a brick. My baby was arriving at the worst possible time. Despite how much I love her, I was struggling to think straight while crouched in agony. That's when Rachel suddenly appeared in front of me. We had to get to the hospital. I told her to grab my phone and call Rick immediately. Rachel helped me to the restroom and even sat me down. I trusted her to handle things properly, so I handed over my phone. But then, she lost it. Rachel didn't want me to steal Anna's spotlight. Steal Anna's spotlight? Was she serious? She said she'd call Rick after the ceremony. Shocked, I stared at her, asking if she'd lost her mind. "I can't endure this for an hour," I shouted. Instead of helping, Rachel took my phone, locked the bathroom door, and left me there. I couldn't believe it. There I was, sitting on a toilet, in labor, heavily pregnant, without my spouse, without my phone. I tried to stay calm, but avoiding a full-blown panic attack felt impossible. What might have happened if I had done things differently is unknown to me. I stood up, walked to the door, and began yelling for help, hammering on it with all the strength I could muster. But no one heard me. Everyone was seated for the wedding, and the restroom was on the first floor. I screamed until my voice gave out, my fist aching from pounding on the door. Yet no one came. At that moment, a horrible thought took over. I was convinced I was going to die, and my child wouldn't survive either. Exhausted, drenched in sweat, and voiceless, I finally collapsed. I don't remember much after that. At some point, I must have passed out completely. Hours later, I woke up in a hospital room. The first thing I saw was Rick, sitting beside me, tears streaming down his face. For a moment, I didn't know where I was or what had happened. Seeing Rick crying like that filled me with dread. My heart sank as everything came flooding back. Rachel locking me in the bathroom, my desperate cries for help, and the overwhelming sense of helplessness. I feared the worst. When Rick noticed I was awake, he let out a shaky breath, his relief evident, and broke down sobbing in my arms. The weight of it all crushed me, and a sinking feeling churned in my stomach. I didn't dare ask him for details, too afraid of what he might say. Then, the nurse entered, holding a tiny baby girl in her arms. I let out a long, trembling sigh of relief. She was here. She was okay. There will never be a better moment in my life than when I first held her. At that point, I was too drained to process everything that had happened, but I was grateful Rick didn't overwhelm me with details. All I could hear was the faint noise outside the hospital room, a commotion of some kind. Rick explained that his mother was waiting outside and wanted to meet her granddaughter. I nodded absently, still trying to piece everything together. When I felt strong enough to speak, I told Rick everything, how Rachel had locked me in the bathroom, and how she had recklessly put our daughter's life at risk. And I made one thing crystal clear. I would never allow Rachel to come anywhere near our child again. My daughter, Rachel, was dead to me. Rick nodded solemnly, and told me he already knew everything. Rachel had broken down and confessed to him after he found me in that horrible state. I told him flatly that I couldn't forgive her, no matter how much she regretted it. Her breakdown, didn't erase what she had done. Rick chuckled darkly and replied, "She's dead to me too." From that moment on, Rick declared he would go to court to ensure she faced justice. He was determined to prosecute her for endangering my life and our babies. Hearing him say that felt like a weight lifting off my chest. I know Rick and his brothers adore their mother. She raised them with everything she had, and deep down, I worried that might sway his loyalty. But after what Rachel did, I wasn't in the mood to forgive. Her actions could have cost us May, our lives, and even our marriage. If Rick had chosen her over me, there would have been no going back. But he didn't. He stood by me, defended me without hesitation, and for that, I was immensely grateful. If it's even possible, it made me love him more than ever. Later, I asked Rick about the wedding. "It's okay," he said with a smile, explaining that Anna and Emma were waiting for his call to come see us. I hesitated before asking, "Was Anna upset?" Rick laughed softly. "Not at all. She said May's birth was the best wedding gift she could have gotten. She's ecstatic, beaming with pride." Hearing that made me cry. "Call them," I urged him. In a matter of minutes, Jonah, Anna, and Emma arrived at the hospital. The best part? Jonah and Anna were still dressed in their wedding attire. Anna wasn't about to miss the chance to take a wedding photo with her brand new niece. The joy and love in the room at that moment were overwhelming. Despite everything that had happened, this was a memory I would cherish forever. I began to cry. It was such a touching moment. Overwhelmed, I apologized to Anna for ruining her wedding day. But after we took a photo together, she wrapped me in a big hug and told me I was wrong. She said I had brightened her day, not spoiled it. After that, I confided in Anna about what Rachel had done. Ever since we made the pregnancy public, Rachel's behavior had been a growing concern. Anna listened intently, and when I finished, she told me the only mistake I made was not reaching out to them sooner. Anna was furious. She believed all the drama Rachel caused could have been avoided. Emma, always the voice of reason, chimed in, saying, "Any amount of trouble is worth it, as long as you're safe." I reassured them that I wasn't looking to start any conflict, but their support brought me to tears again. For the first time, I realized just how much Anna and Emma truly loved me, not just as Rick's wife, but as part of their family. It was a profound moment. Anna is one of the most incredible people I've ever met. She's compassionate, steady, and radiantly happy. It's no surprise she's so successful in life. How Rachel turned out so differently from her children is a mystery to me. It seems as though they saw her toxic behavior and consciously chose to be everything she wasn't. Honestly, I don't even care anymore. That moment with Anna and Emma was beautiful, and it reminded me of the love and strength in my life. Meanwhile, Rachel remained outside on the walkway. Anna, fiercely protective, told her point blank that Rick and I would press charges. She assured Rachel that she would personally see it through. I didn't want Rachel anywhere near me, or May. But Rachel still had the audacity to ask to come inside and meet the baby. Anna stood her ground, telling me, "We have to protect ourselves from her." She also expressed guilt, feeling she hadn't done enough to make it clear she supported my pregnancy or to temper her mother's overprotective tendencies. Anna believed she might have prevented this whole incident if she had been more outspoken. But I quickly reassured her. "You are not at fault. Not even a little." Anna had made me feel protected, truly cared for. Meanwhile, Rick was outside, speaking with Rachel. Once I was released from the hospital and brought May home a few days later, Rick shared the details of his conversation with me. He told Rachel, in no uncertain terms, that nothing would change his mind. He would be filing charges. He also made it clear that, after her actions, she would no longer be considered May's grandmother. She would never be allowed to be a part of May's life. Rachel, ever the victim, protested, claiming that she didn't deserve this treatment. She argued that she had worked tirelessly for her children her entire life. But Rick didn't let her sway him. He told her, firmly, that her actions had put both our unborn child and my life at risk, and that wasn't something he could just forgive. He also informed her that he would be cutting back on the financial support he had been giving her and Emma. Rachel broke down in tears, trying to guilt him into changing his mind. But Rick wasn't moved. He acknowledged the sacrifices she had made over the years, but he made it clear that her behavior no longer had any place in their lives, especially now that May and I were in the picture. He admitted that he'd been overlooking or justifying her actions for years, but that would no longer be the case. As for Anna, she had never objected to me attending her wedding, but Rachel had crossed a line. Her actions had proven that she was simply too dangerous to be around. When Rachel tried to justify herself, claiming she was just trying to protect Anna, saying she didn't want me to steal the spotlight, Anna heard this and immediately scolded her. Anna made it crystal clear. I never felt that way. We are moving forward with the lawsuit, but Rick is handling it. I can't handle the added stress while taking care of a newborn. Rick has taken it upon himself to deal with it all. He knows how much this affects me, and he's doing everything he can to protect us. It's become crystal clear that none of the siblings are interested in continuing a relationship with Rachel. Emma only communicates with her when absolutely necessary, and Anna has completely shut her out. Naturally, Rick and I are also in no contact with her. I don't think Rachel ever anticipated this level of backlash. As twisted as it may sound, it's possible that she truly believed she was defending Anna. I'm not justifying her actions at all, but part of me feels sorry for her. Things went so horribly wrong for her, and now she's lost everything. Still, I'm left wondering if we should try to talk to her. I feel awful about it, like maybe I'm wrong for even considering it, but I'm just not sure I'm thinking straight. I know Rick would be furious if I even brought it up. He can't even look at Rachel right now. His anger runs so deep. I didn't expect this rift to grow so wide, but here we are. Well, reconciliation is impossible now. There's no coming back from this. Being a new mother has kept me incredibly busy, which is why I haven't posted in a while. There just hasn't been time for anything else. My focus has been entirely on taking care of myself and May. The good news is that we're all excited for May's upcoming 8-week birthday. It's been a joy, and Rick and I have been so grateful for the help from Anna and Jonah. Emma checks in nearly every day, but she had to go back to work. May's presence has truly brightened all our lives, and her photos fill up our group chat constantly. As for Rachel, she hasn't been contacted at all. We just have too much on our plates right now, and dealing with her would be pointless. I managed to persuade Rick not to go through with filing charges, for now anyway. None of us has the energy to handle any more drama. Rick reluctantly agreed, though I can see how much it's weighing on him. Rachel, meanwhile, seemed oblivious to how deep the divide has become. When we informed Rachel of our decision last week, she appeared somewhat appreciative. At least that's how it seemed at first. I say appeared because Rachel's true nature soon revealed itself. She's genuinely insane. Last week, around 1 a.m., we were jolted awake by loud, booming knocks on the door. Rick got up to check, but I panicked and fled with May, assuming it was a robbery. I could hear shouting, and I was terrified to step outside for fear of waking May. It was Rachel. According to Rick, she was acting completely irrationally, yelling that we couldn't keep her away and demanding to see May. It took Rick threatening to call the police before she finally backed off, having tried to force her way into the house. We were deeply concerned. Something wasn't right, so we immediately contacted Emma and Anna to let them know what had happened. But our worry didn't last long. The very next day, Rachel sent us a disturbingly erratic text. She began by accusing us of punishing her for being a mother, claiming we were denying her access to May. She called us nasty and horrid, but then the text took an even darker turn. Rachel went on about the struggles of parenting 3 children, how she always had to choose which child's needs to put ahead of the others, and how she didn't want May to ruin Anna's wedding. She used this excuse to defend her behavior on May's birthday. Rachel completely ignored the fact that Anna had made it clear, time and again, that she had no issue with me being pregnant during the wedding. In fact, Anna had always been supportive and emphasized that May was just a fetus at that point. I tried to make sense of Rachel's perspective at first, but as her messages continued, they grew more erratic and theatrical. Rachel's text took an even more sinister turn. She claimed she was worried that her children wouldn't value her as much now that May was in our lives. She admitted that she had expected Anna to be angry about the pregnancy because, in her mind, that's what any normal woman would feel. But when she saw how happy we all were about both the wedding and the pregnancy, she couldn't stand it. She wanted us to be envious, competitive, anything but pleased for each other. Then, Rachel went on to say that she felt devalued, that May had somehow replaced her as the unifying force in her children's lives. She had even anticipated that Anna would snap at her for taking the attention away from the wedding due to May's birth. But when that didn't happen, when May became the sole topic of conversation, Rachel felt like she'd been supplanted. By this point, I couldn't even bring myself to read anymore. I told Rick, "She's insane. She's dangerous for all of us." I begged him to block her number. I couldn't handle it anymore. The truth is, since reading those messages, I've had a constant headache. How in the world could a 50-year-old woman compete with a 7-week-old baby? I don't understand it. Honestly, I'm done trying to figure out why she does the things she does. When we shared Rachel's messages with Emma and Anna, they were equally horrified. Both of them theorized that Rachel might be going through a manic episode. Emma even offered to fly down and have a facility evaluate her. I agreed that it was a good idea, but I made it clear that I didn't want to have anything more to do with Rachel. Her actions were too erratic, too dangerous, and I couldn't risk it any longer. We are exercising caution, even though Rachel hasn't tried anything since that late-night incident. Emma followed through with her plan and consulted both a psychologist and a psychiatrist to have Rachel tested. While Rachel's behavior didn't stem from any medical condition, she was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. The next course of action the specialists recommended was therapy. After this revelation, Emma made the difficult decision to cut all communication with Rachel. She said she would have been willing to help if Rachel had a medical condition, but it's clear now that Rachel's actions are driven by pure hatred. I completely understand Emma's decision, and I share her sentiment. If Rachel's behavior had been the result of a genuine mental illness, I might have felt pity for her. But now that we know this is just who she is, there's no room for reconciliation. The restraining order is in place to protect Rick, May, and myself. Rachel has proven herself to be unsafe on more than one occasion, and her particular hostility toward May makes her even more dangerous. We cannot, and will not, compromise on keeping her away from our family. I believe this will be my last update. I truly hope I never have to revisit this experience again. Thank you for following along. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.